Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this one, I want to do a comparison and look at Char Zaku II versus kind of the standard mass production Zaku II that we see in the original 0079. Look at the comparisons, what makes Char's Zaku special more than maybe just him? So yeah, let's get started. All right, to start off, let's look at the standard mass production Zaku II. And this is the MS-06F Zaku II. Now, there's been a variance, obviously. There's the original Zaku, variants of the Zaku II before getting into like this mass production. But it was this specific model, the MS-06F Zaku II, that was pivotal, although it didn't work out, for the Principality of Zeon. The MS-06F Zaku II was the Principality of Zeon's mainstay mobile suit during the 1-year war. Compared to the MS-06C Zaku II early production type, the MS-06F removed the heavy anti-nuclear protections, reducing its armor weight and improving its mobility. It was also refitted with a more powerful generator. The MYFG-MES series fusion reactor, jointly developed by Zeonic and M&Y Company. Otherwise, it was not significantly different from its predecessors, the MS-06A and the MS-06C. So one of the big things here I'm seeing is the reduction of the weight. At the end of the day, the thing that I feel like pilots or engineers working on mobile suits found out that's best for a mobile suit in battle is its mobility. It's being able to move fast. By moving fast, you could get away from danger quicker or get to your target quicker. There existed subtle differences among the F-type depending on the time of manufacture and the originating factory. Prior to the introduction of the MS-06S Zaku II Commander type, the MS-06F piloted by squadron leaders were equipped with head-mounted blade antenna. So that's kind of cool to think. Sometimes you might see what is actually the standard Zaku F-type, but it has the Commander antenna to kind of denote that it's a commander or potentially ace pilot. But maybe because of those pilots being so proficient at using the Zaku II, that's why they actually came out with a newer model, which we'll get to shortly. The MS-06F could run at a speed of 85 kilometers an hour, leap 100 meters into the air with the use of its thrusters, and lift around 80 to 90 tons of weight with one hand. Its thrusters had a thrust of 45 tons, though its punch had a force of 560 tons. Doing so risks severely damaging its manipulators. Interesting. Instead, it more frequently used the spike armor on its left shoulder for the shoulder tackle, which had a force of 4,500 tons. The cost of an MS-06F was equivalent to that of 5 Type 61 tanks. And here's that Type 61 tank close up if you're interested in seeing. Or 1,500 civilian automobiles from the year UC 0078, each costing 30% of a salaryman's average annual salary. So there's some lore, in-universe lore about that. I find it interesting talking about the punch, the force of the punch, and how it could damage the manipulators. The reason I like that that's being discussed is that is a part of the fantasy element, I think, in Mobile Suit Gundam that I kind of I don't really think about. I'm just let it be. And that's when there's melee combat, when there's guys kicking or punching each other. In my mind, that's going to do just as much damage to the mobile suit doing the attacking as it does to the one being attacked. But I like how they kind of explain that here, that yes, that does happen, and this is the damage that occurs. And just to give some brief history, just to get context of when it was used, the MS-06F entered service at some point before the Battle of Loom. And that was January 15th, 0079. So right at the beginning of the 1-year war. And that's what really gave the Principality of Zeon a leg up in the whole battle and being able to invade Earth. And it seemed like they were going to win for so long. It was used alongside the MS-06A Zaku II first mass production type and the MS-06Z Zaku II early production type. So you can see they were throwing out everything they had, but, you know, this F was the premier mass production mobile suit for Principality of Zeon. Oh, and looking at this, the MS-06C, you know, originally was the main one, and the difference that we saw was removing some of the armor to make it lighter, and that is what allowed the MS-06F to really be mass produced, is having, you know, less that would be on it, making it lighter. You know, they say it would go on to become the most produced mobile suit of the war, but I wonder going forward what other most produced suits there could have been. I almost feel like as time moves forward in UC, while there's still a lot of grunt suits, there's a lot of variants of grunt suits and not necessarily one main line that is used. If anyone happens to have information on that, feel free to comment. I'm into like the fleet logistics and fleet strategy, fleet battle, like what suits and how many of them there were. So yeah, that's interesting to me. And so thinking about, what happens on Earth, especially if you're into 08th MS team, that's where we get this J variant, this J ground type. It's from the F when they land on Earth and they're modified for that. But here we're specifically comparing that mass production Zaku II with Char's Zaku II. We saw that they would, put the blade antenna on a Zaku II to say, hey, that's a commander type. But they did modify and make a special version. That's called the MS-06S Zaku II commander type. Right now we're seeing it with standard colors, but also they had the Char colors. Okay, developed in response to veteran pilots' requests for a high-performance unit, the MS-06S Zaku II commander type was far more mobile than its predecessor, the MS-06F Zaku II, but was also far more difficult to control. Compared to the F-type, the S-type's vernier nozzles were enlarged and the output of its main thrusters were increased by 30% while retaining the same size. To make space for the improved thrusters and enlarged propellant tanks, various automatic control systems of the F-type were removed. Very interesting. So the S-type was harder to control. Ace pilots wanted more control out of it, and by moving some of the automation equipment, which is very interesting. That's something we've discussed sometimes in past videos about the automation that would be involved within a mobile suit, where there's some functions it could do on its own. But if you have a skilled enough pilot that knows maybe how to, control those nuances of the mobile suit, yeah, you can remove that automation, give it more room, and that's probably where it gets to being harder to control than the F-type, because the automations are removed. A pilot would have to be more in tune with that, and especially if you're a new type, that makes it easy. While this reduced the S-type's operability, it also enabled experienced pilots to disable many unnecessary limiters and push the mobile suit to its structural limit. Okay, removing automation and removing unnecessary limiters. So that's like the main thing that makes the S-type its thing. Other changes from the F-type included the S-type's generator being 5% lighter, and its armor composition and structure were improved, improving its overall power-weight ratio. Finally, the S-type were all equipped with a head-mounted multi-blade antenna. Though the antenna itself was identical to those found on the F-type, the structure at its base was different, giving it improved communications and enemy detection capabilities. Despite having many special internal components, the S-type still shared 80 to 90% of its parts with the F-type, making it easy to resupply and maintain. This also meant that, like the F-type, it could easily be modified to operate in space or under gravity. Okay, here's a special equipment/feature equipped on the back of Ortega's machine. It is used to store, it's called a container backpack, sorry. It is used to store a machine gun and a spare bazooka magazine. It can be discarded with explosive bolts even during combat, and the sides can be mounted with bazookas and heat hawks. Explosive bolts, it's very interesting to think of that, because at such the size that a mobile suit would be, things would need to be fastened on as much as, bolting something in, and to remove it quickly in battle, it would be a quick, explosion of the bolt, which, totally makes sense. It's kind of neat to think that level of detail is going in here. Okay, and just some brief history. The MS-06S Zaku II commander type was intended to reflect the design concept of the high mobility R-type, first proposed in UC 0076 as development of local warfare mobile suit began, using the production facilities for the MS-06F Zaku II. Because of this, in addition to being a high-performance unit, it also served as a technical field trial unit in the enhancement of mobile suit mobility. The development of the S-type was led by Elliot Rem, with Tem Ray Elliot Rem, that's almost too similar, with testing mostly conducted at testing fields at Granada. In order to maintain secrecy, the production of the S-type only took place on the Xeon homeland. Deployment of the S-type took place in the second half of UC 0078, mostly to experienced squadron leaders. Okay, this is interesting. Roughly 100 S-types were produced in total. Is 100 considered mass production? I wonder. I wonder how much it is mass production or retrofitting on existing Zaku IIs. Its success would pave the way for the development of future high-performance mobile suits, including the MS-06R and the MS-14 Gelgoog. Kind of get more into the lore of what it meant of Char having that Zaku S-type, It was up until meeting the Gundam that, Char realized, okay, his mobile suit maybe can't deal with everything. Now, Amuro was a little less experienced than Char. Char, if there was any other mobile suit, Char could have took out Amuro. but he was going up against the technology of the Gundam. And early on, when you see those battles of Char and Zaku II, he is doing everything he can. He's dodging, he's doing a lot of things, but there's so much, I guess, actions being taken against the Gundam that don't prevail for Char, so he has to back out, eventually getting something like a Gelgoog. Oh, here's that container backpack we talked about. I don't know if this is something that's available as a Gunpla add-on or with another kit. Oh, here's a look at color variation showing Garma's suit. That I guess the colors almost make sense for the ground operation, but interesting that the color variation for the purple, the bottom one, is like space camouflage, which is a cool idea. I never really thought about that. That makes sense, you know, what the purple being used. Okay, so a little recap of everything we've come across so far. So performance enhancements. For thrust and speed, Char's custom Zaku II is equipped with a higher performance reactor and additional thrusters, making it about 30% faster than a standard Zaku II. This upgrade enables Char to achieve his famed 3 times faster speed, giving him a significant edge in combat. With mobility, the MS-06S model has improved maneuverability compared to the MS-06F, allowing Char to perform more complex and agile movements. We saw that from them discussing limiters being removed and AI components being removed, where the pilot would know how to initiate. So designation and rarity. The MS-06S is an officer-use variant of the Zaku II. It was designed for elite pilots and commanders, distinguishing it from the mass-production MS-06F units. Char Zaku II sports a distinct red and pink color scheme, making it easily recognizable on the battlefield. This was a personal choice by Char and symbolized his individuality and status as the Red Comet. And we saw that they used purple, darker colors, for the space camouflage. So it's interesting that, you know, Char really didn't care. He wanted to stand out. Char's custom Zaku may include upgraded cockpit equipment for improved situational awareness, reflecting his status as an ace pilot. Enhanced communication systems for commanding squads might also be included, although not explicitly shown in detail. Even though it's kind of been described that that is what it could be in these Zaku IIs, we actually haven't seen that shown off in animation. In symbolic differences, the customization reflects Char's elite status within Zeon and serves as a psychological weapon. The red color and his piloting reputation strike fear into enemies, creating a morale advantage for Zeon forces. Which is, it's interesting to think where we have the Gundam, the V-fin, it's all white. We get the White Devil. That's a psychological thing going on there. With Char being the, you know, quote-unquote bad guy, having something that's red, mono-eyed. It has that antenna on the top. That has the psychological implications as well. And then a quick summary of key differences here, if you want to take a look at that, just to kind of get an idea mentally of, you know, what are the differences when we're seeing the F versus the S. You know, and through the years, it's interesting to see how the design, I guess, out of universe, really, of, you know, modernizing the Zaku II as further animations come out. I will say, when I first saw the Zaku II, a little goofy to me. You know, I think over time it's grown on me. It really works as a quote-unquote bad guy unit, you know, having the spikes, having the single, you know, the mono eye. And then I guess in later iterations, I feel like it really grows into its own. They really do a good job of taking sort of the original, you know, goofy look of it and making it work. You know, this is from Unicorn, for instance. I mean, even shots like that just make it look awesome. And it's really just tweaks to proportions on how it was originally and how to do it modern. I mean, take a look at that. That looks great. Yeah, and how it's shown in GBO2, which I think is a great representation of mobile suits. How, you know, they make them look realistic. And some of them, yeah, GBO2 has like its own interpretation model, but it really does work. Here's another shot with another variation. I like how we see the shield kind of turned around, but put on the same arm as the spike shield. And then just no. You know, and how Char's suit's represented, you know, it looks just like a Zaku II. In animation, really the only difference they had was that antenna. And it's cool that in MS Igloo, there are some shots, so that's some updated CGI. You know, it's old by now, but it still looks like a good modernization of that. And then, obviously, some shots from Unicorn. If you watch Origin, there's a lot of good shots. That's when they were, like, doing kind of like the 3D alongside the animation. It looks very well done. Okay, and here's the commander type from Battle Operation 2. Notice it's green, but that's kind of maybe what its standard, you know, colors were. And the idea is maybe based on the pilot, the ace pilot using it, they would customize it as their own. All right, well, that was a little deep dive into the Zaku II, the F-Type and the S-Type. Again, the F-Type being the main mass-produced one that they decided to go with, especially for the one-year war, lighter than the previous version. And then, yeah, they would add an antenna to make it a commander type, but what they then really did was create a S-Type Zaku II. Now, people like Char would use it. It would be elite pilots where they would remove limiters, remove some of the AI components, some more communication technology added on just to make it a better unit. And yeah, according to the wiki, there were 100 produced, so that's pretty interesting. Anyway, let me know what you think below. Are there any other cool tidbits and differences between these two Zaku types? I think doing these research videos really helps me kind of wrap my head around naming conventions. It was cool to see where we see the J-type as one that's made for ground. Once the Fs are on ground, modified just a bit for ground use. Maybe another video where I can compare some different ones. Actually, give me some suggestions if there's other mobile suits or technologies that I could compare. A lot of this is done to research, learn, memorize, and I hope that helps you all also kind of memorize these things, as there's so much in the Gundam universe to learn. But anyway, shout out to Art Rovo Gundam, sponsor of this video and this channel, and shout out to all the supporters that make this possible. If that's something you're interested in, check the links in the description. And while you're down there, check the link for our Discord. We have a lot of fun there. Share off like our builds as we're doing them, ask questions about builds or video games or whatever. So until next time, be cool.